Welcome back to Aunt Debbie's Boutique. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, I hope you will like and subscribe. I appreciate all the new subscribers I've gotten in the last week or two, and I hope I continue to offer material that you are interested in. Today we're continuing on our holiday series and holiday decor, and we're working on Thanksgiving, and we're going to make a bread basket that keeps your bread warm. I'm trying out a new camera angle because a couple people have told me that I sometimes get out of range on the camera, and I apologize for that, and I'm going to try something new. I've just had a hard time finding the right place to put the camera so it's not in my way. So please let me know in the comments if this is better. Okay, what you're going to need for today's project is, first of all, you need a basket of some sort. And I bought this one off of Amazon, and I will link it in the description below. I liked it because it had a nice tall side, and it's perfectly round, and also it has flat sides instead of angling out, which is going to work better for our project today. You're going to need a piece of fabric that's cut in a circle for the right size for your basket, and I will tell you how to determine the right size in just a little bit. Mine has a radius of 11.5 inches for this particular basket, or a diameter of 23. The radius is from the center point to the edge. Diameter is from edge to edge. And then you're going to need two smaller circles that fit in the bottom of your basket. It's okay if your basket is more curved and it kind of goes up on the sides. What I used, I took this bowl right here and just traced it for the circle. And it's just an approximate size, so it doesn't matter. And then we're going to make a coordinating napkin to go on top of our bread basket to help keep our bread warm. You're also going to need either some rice or pinto beans, dried pinto beans, or dried corn to fill our pocket. It's going to be a microwavable, stumbled on that word, microwavable pocket that you will microwave and put in there with your bread to keep it warm. And there's three things you can put in it. The best thing to put in it is actually dried corn. Now, this is not popcorn. You have to go to a feed store to get dried corn, but the reason it's the best, it holds heat real well, but it doesn't break down with time and start developing an odor. Now, rice and pinto beans also hold heat for a long time, but with time, after you use it over and over again, it might develop a slight smell, and so you might want to replace it when that happens. Another thing you can do is put some essential oil in with your rice or whatever. You don't want to put enough that it stains your little pouch that it's in, but it would help it not develop an odor with time. So those are your options on that. I am using rice today because that's what I had on hand, and I'll just switch it out whenever it gets to smelling. Now, you'll also need a funnel of some sort, and I'm using a cup to fill my funnel. So we'll use that later on in the project. You're going to need a measuring tape that is flexible, and you'll need some sort of seam guide or measuring instrument that will measure like 1 inch. And you're also going to need a bodkin, or you can use a safety pin, something to feed elastic with, and some sort of marking instrument. Okay. The way we're going to determine the size of this basket that we need for this basket is, you can see the center right there. And I'm going to measure from the center up the side, around and down to about halfway. So that's about 10 inches. Then I need, I forgot, we also need some elastic. What did I do with my elastic? Here it is. Sorry. I'm using 3/4 inch elastic. I just like the looks of it. And so once you determine that you need it 10 inches to get to the center, we want to add the width of our elastic, which is another 3/4 of an inch, plus a 1/2 inch to be on the safe side. So let's see. Yeah, so that's how I came up with 11.5. Because we want to make our pocket that we insert our elastic in at least 1/4 inch bigger than our elastic, so that it's easy enough to thread in there. If you get it too narrow, it'll bunch up and it won't look good. So that's how I came up with 11.5 for my diameter. Now, the way I drew it, I actually drew it on the back of this. I took a pin and I stuck it in here at the 1/2 inch mark, and then I cut a little tiny slit at 12, because since I moved up a 1/2 inch here, I need to move up a 1/2 inch here, so that's 12. I stuck it in my fabric and I traced around to make my circle. So anything similar to that will work. You could take a piece of cardboard that's that long. I just didn't have anything that long readily available, so I just put that little slit in my tape measure. Okay, I went ahead and made our napkin, and the reason for that is we've made these with both of our placemat videos lately, and I didn't think that it was necessary to go over making a napkin again. I'll link the video for the Halloween placemats in the description box in case you want to look at that. But basically, we turn over 1/4 inch and then 1/4 inch again, and just stitch. It's an 18-inch square, and we just stitch it all the way around. So we won't be making that in this video. We'll just use it to demonstrate at the end. Now, another thing that I'm going to show you today is how to do a curved hem, because a lot of people have difficulty with that when they first start sewing. And so I thought that was something good to go over in a little more detail. And a lot of clothes have curved hems. Any sort of like dress or top that flares out will have some sort of a curve to it. And so I'll show you a few tricks on to get your curve to lay smooth. As you can imagine, when you fold over and you start going around a curve, it starts bunching up, and so it's hard to get it to lay smooth. So we'll go over that. Okay, the first thing we want to do is iron over 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And a good way of doing this, I like to do it on my serger, and I know not everybody has a serger, but I'm going to run it through the serger today on this just to show you. You can also just put a stitch here 1/4 of an inch away on your sewing machine. Just set your presser foot so you know where 1/4 inch is and go all the way around, and that will help you. That'll give you a guideline. But let me run it through the serger, around the serger real quick, and I'll come back and show you what that does. Okay, I'm back from the serger, and you see, let's see if I can get it where you can see it real good. The little edge it put on there that's right at 1/4 of an inch. That's going to make it real easy to iron under, because I will just iron that edge, just turn it in, and it turns in so smoothly. Now, I didn't show you the stitching of it on the serger because this channel is not really for serging, it's for beginning sewers. That's just something I wanted to throw out for those who do have a serger. And if people are interested in learning how to sew more things on the serger, once I get this channel well established, I might start another one for serger, because I love to sew on the serger, especially knit clothes for children. So if you're interested in some serger lessons, leave me a comment, and I will file that away for future use. But as you can see, that makes it so easy to get an even 1/4 inch seam. Otherwise, ironing in a circle 1/4 of an inch is a little bit challenging. And this, I'm not ironing it perfectly, but it will be close. Now, the next thing we need to do is mark about 1 inch all the way around. Whatever the width of your elastic is, plus another 1/4 inch. And I'm marking it on the front so it'll be easier to see when I'm turning it under. And this is an erasable pin, so once it's ironed, it'll go away. If you have something that's not erasable, you can mark it on the other side. It's just a little bit easier if it's marked on the top. This little seam gauge I'm using is by Nancy Zeman. I believe her place is called Nancy's Notions. She's deceased, but I think her company is still in business. And I love this seam gauge. And I can link it down below too. not turning under real good, so I'm going to re-iron right through here. Although when it's hot, those ink marks go away pretty fast. Okay, now that that's all marked, I am going to work my way around. This will, of course, erase these marks as I go, but I'm just going to iron it right here on the edge because you can see it's bunching up, and we're not going to worry about that right now. We will address that in a little bit. Now that I've worked my way around, you can see to lay this down, it's going to kind of be a mess to get it to lay flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to put a basting stitch all the way around here and meet back up at this other side. And I want to have a tail on both ends of it. So make sure you have a tail before you start. And a basting stitch is just a real long stitch. And on my machine, the largest you can go is a length of 6. And I think that's what the majority of machines have. So I'm going to set my stitch length to 6 and go all the way around here. Also, do not back stitch at the beginning or the end. That's imperative. And this is my long tail I'm leaving. Now when I get to where I started, I'm going to go right up close to it, but I didn't mean to hit that, but I'll fix that. I'm not going to overlap it, and because I hit the thread cutter, my threads are going to be short here at the end, but that's all right. I'll still be able to use them. Okay, let's go back over to the cutting table. Now be sure and set your stitch length back to whatever you use to sew cotton with. I put mine at 2.5. And I also didn't mention, but when we sew around the edge, we want to leave about a 2-inch gap so we can stick our elastic in there. And this time we do want to back stitch, both starting and ending. Just make sure that you've got that folded where you ironed it. Okay, here's where I started, so I'm going to stop here and back stitch. At this point, you can pull out that gathering thread if you want, but it's not going to show, so why bother? So let's go back over to the cutting table and thread our elastic in. Now let's iron this from the top all the way around so it lays nice and smooth. And on the back, it will be slightly gathered, but you won't have any big pleats or anything really bunched up like you would have probably, unless you're really, really good at curved hems, if you had just, if you had skipped that step. Now look how nice and flat that lays. Okay, now to determine the length of your elastic, you want to measure around your bowl, your basket, and at about the center. Now, if your basket slopes down, you might want to go just a little bit below that to make sure you get it as tight as you need. Mine is right at 32 inches. So you will cut your elastic an inch shorter. So I cut mine 31 inches. And now I'm going to use this bodkin. You can use a big safety pin or anything else you have found to work. But I like these bodkins. And I like to put it pretty far down so it doesn't pull out as easy. Now let's find the spot where we left the 2-inch gap. There it is. And we're just going to feed our elastic through here. And you can use any kind of elastic you want, any color that doesn't show through. I mean, this is a bread basket after all. It's not like a waistband that you're gonna have to keep from falling down. So, and also I like to put something at this end so it doesn't pull all the way through. And sometimes I use a big safety pin there, but just something that's bigger than your opening. So a pin like this will keep it from going all the way in to through the opening. And if your casing is too narrow, it will get bogged down in places. I don't think mine is, but there's a few places it's a little bit tighter. Okay, once you've got it threaded through, we need to pin it so we don't lose it. But you want to check to make sure it's all flat and hasn't gotten twisted in there. I think mine's flat. Now I'm going to overlap it about 1 inch, and I'm going to go to the machine and sew just a little X on it. Now I want to pull it real tight so it's all down in there, and then I'm going to sew that 2 inches that we left open closed. And I'm going to try to not catch my elastic when I do that. If you do, it won't really hurt anything as long as you only catch it in one place. If you catch it in a couple of places, it won't stretch to be even all the way around. Okay, let's go back over to the cutting table. Now that we've got our cover all sewn, we just kind of want to stretch it around to get the gathers kind of equal. Looks like a big shower cap. Now we're going to situate the elastic at about the halfway point all the way down and then push it in. Now we have a nice little lining for our basket. Okay, let's set that aside for now. And we have one more thing to do. With right sides together, I'm going to take this machine sew all the way around and leave about a 2-inch gap. And then we're going to turn it and put our rice or whatever in it. Now, because I don't trust the rice to not bust a seam at some point, I'm actually going to sew around it and back again, just right next to the one seam, just to have double enforcement. Okay, let's go do that. I do want to back stitch at both the beginning and the end. And it wouldn't hurt to pin this before we started, but you want to make sure that your edges are even. Okay, I'm going to back stitch, then I'm going to turn it around, and just on the inside of that, getting it just as close as I can with not being right on top of it, I'm going to stitch around again. go back to the cutting tape. Now, because it's a circle, we need to either clip our seams or my favorite way with the pinking shears. I don't like putting all those tiny little clips all the way around, and this does it for me. You do not want to clip at your opening. And this is, if you can see that, how close I try to get it. That seam, I should have used a darker thread so you could have seen the seam better. Now I want to turn it inside out. And I'm going to iron it. My iron had shut off, but it's still pretty hot. I'm going to turn under the pieces that we left open. I think I'll iron them one side at a time so I can keep that curve. Now then, let's fill it with our filling. Now we don't want to overfill it because, for one thing, we don't want it taking up all the space in our bread basket. We want room for bread. But this is a 1 cup measuring cup, and I put 2 of these in the last one that I did. They probably weren't each quite a cup. But for this side circle, that's about the right amount, and I'll show you what it feels like. Now you'll see it flattens out to being maybe an inch thick, and that's about the way we want it. Now I'm gonna go stitch it closed. I'm going to stitch on machine. If you want it to be real nice and neat, you can hand stitch it with a blind stitch so it doesn't show. It's closed shut. All you have to do is microwave this for a little bit. Then you place it in the bottom of your basket and you lay your bread on top of it, and then you cover it with your napkin. Probably this is a better angle. And now we have a nice Thanksgiving bread basket. Now you don't have to limit this to Thanksgiving. You can do it for any time of the year. You can, and they're washable. You can switch them out. I have this one that I made that's just a generic one. And I haven't hemmed the napkin on it just yet. But you can see that you can make different ones for different seasons, and it will keep your bread nice and fresh. But who doesn't need a bread basket at Thanksgiving time? So that's why I chose Thanksgiving for this tutorial. Okay, I'm gonna put the other one back on. And this will look real cute with our placemats. I still don't have all of them made, but by the end of this series I will. And I will show you at some point a table set with all of these. Okay. This fabric coordinates with all that fabric, so and one of the placemats is going to have this for the feathers. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have gotten a lot out of this and that you enjoyed this tutorial. And I'll be back, let's see, next Saturday, next Wednesday with another tutorial in the Thanksgiving line. So I hope you'll join me then. I appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, whatever you do, do it to the glory of the Lord. Thank you.